Good afternoon, everyone. You all feeling all right? Come on, a little more energy, a little more volume. Are you excited about Baltimore and investing in Baltimore's future? Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, as they said, I'm Dujon Smith. I'm the Global Investment Lead for Accenture's Black Founders Development Program. I am joined here today with two wonderful gentlemen, Jeff and Kory. Let's just do a quick round of introductions so folks know who you are, and then we'll get into these questions.
Sure. Thanks, Dujon. I'm Jeff Cherry, as it said, founder of the Conscious Venture Lab, also Conscious Venture Partners. We're a venture capital fund based here in Baltimore and a startup accelerator. We focus on investing in underrepresented founders and ideas that are breaking down barriers to access.
And I am Kory Bailey, the CEO of UpSurge Baltimore. We are the ecosystem builder for the Baltimore Tech Hub. We are consolidating the data, mobilizing the people and resources, and really wrapping our arms around the founders and startups that are growing in the Baltimore region.
Perfect, perfect. So as Mark Anthony stated earlier this afternoon, Baltimore was chosen out of like 400 plus cities to be one of the 17 tech hubs. So Kory, why do you think Baltimore was chosen?
So it's a great question. You're going to hear a lot about Baltimore's unique physical assets. You know, we are perfectly located on the East Coast. We have the Port of Baltimore, BWI, great institutions in Johns Hopkins, Morgan State, and others. You're going to hear a lot about the intellectual, institutional capital. But I really think the thing that drove this win for the Baltimore Tech Hub was our best asset, which is our people. You've heard a lot today about our spirit of collaboration, our commitment to long-term growth. And so I really think for the first time, there is an energy, Brian said, happening in Baltimore where we have that spirit of partnership and collaboration. Everyone came to the table. Everyone was there sort of talking to our strengths, and everyone committed to presenting one proposal that we could all align around, and not just sort of from a vertical standpoint and what our tech strengths are, but from a horizontal standpoint as well. How do we connect these projects and this proposal all the way to the residents of Baltimore and the great assets that we have here? So I think it was that commitment to collaboration.
Wonderful. And Jeff, from your vantage point, why do you think Baltimore was chosen? How does that align with your thesis and approach to biotech and artificial intelligence?
So, yeah, I think Kory stole some of my thunder, but I think that, look, here's a real-world example of what Kory just talked about how our people are the difference. We just had demo day, the 11th demo day for Conscious Venture Lab 2 nights ago. City Garage, which is another co-working space. Bob Story runs a thing over there called Launchport. Kory and UpSurge, we all came together to put on this event. We had 8 founders, 2 of them from Baltimore, 6 from around the world, Mexico City, New York, LA. And then we had a debrief yesterday, high energy at this event. And in the debrief yesterday, the 2 companies from New York said, you know, and I'm a New Yorker, so I know that they said, we don't have this in New York. We don't have this energy around innovation, around startups, around bringing people together to support these organizations, support these companies. Now we have 2 companies from New York that are thinking about moving to Baltimore. Why? Because of the people, because they were in the room and they were like, this is amazing and we want to be a part of it. So I think that the EDA recognized that. You know, I mean, in terms of what we do in AI and you know, in the healthcare space, it's interesting. I was looking at this morning. So our focus is on breaking down barriers to access. Cross country, which is a little bit west of Mount Vernon, the life expectancy there is a little bit north of here. Life expectancy there is 84 years old. 7 miles away in Southwest Baltimore, life expectancy is 66. Wow. Just 7 miles away. Even crazier than that, 1 mile away in Pimlico, life expectancy is about 65. Wow. And with the assets we have, we can change that, right? So we've invested in a company called 1104 Health. They use AI to identify underrepresented patients who are not getting into clinical trials, specifically to solve that type of problem. And Baltimore is uniquely centered to solve things like that with and Hopkins and all the things that are happening there. We're doing a trial with that in Hopkins. So I just think it's an amazing place to do that type of work.
Yeah, no, and speaking of some of the disparities, it would be very interesting, Kory, for you to talk a little bit more on how UpSurge is helping to accelerate diverse entrepreneurship within the tech ecosystem.
Yeah, so we just asked the question, imagine what a city would look like if any great idea, no matter whether it came from Hopkins, Morgan State, Care First, or East and West Baltimore, had an opportunity to get vetted, get to market, find product market fit, grow jobs and talent, and thrive here in the city. And so we believe that there is a untapped potential in Baltimore. And if we can create the infrastructure, the systems, and the standards for getting those great ideas to market, no matter where they come from, that will benefit from it. GDP growth is representation, is that growth strategy for us. So we want to make sure that everyone's ideas can get to market. And we do that by wrapping the ecosystem around founders. Perfect. There is tons of folks that can influence and change how a company grows. So we want to create awareness for those founders that are finding success, that are hitting their milestones, that are growing their teams, creating wealth and jobs in the region. We want to make sure that there is activity, constant and consistent activities. We do a weekly meetup called Equitech Tuesday. Jeff mentioned the CVL demo day last night. We layered all of those different forms of capital into that. So when those founders step in the room, they see funders, they see talent, they see the opportunity to grow here. So we are just constantly making sure that we engage the community in ways that can grow those startups into the next big companies for Baltimore.
Perfect. And Jeff, your accelerator program is also designed for diverse founders as well. Talk a little bit more about that and your investment strategy.
So our strategy really has three components. One is this idea of stakeholder capitalism. We believe the winning businesses of the future are going to focus on how to create value for all their stakeholders. The second is we want to invest in ideas that are breaking down barriers to access in some way, that are making society more equitable. And on top of that, we add to that this idea that we will invest in anybody, no matter where they come from and no matter what they look like. We just do a better job of getting into communities of underrepresented founders. So that, and people think about that sometimes. They're like, well, are you narrowing your investment window? No, we're actually broadening our investment window by getting to founders that others are ignoring for all the wrong reasons. We have 54 companies in our portfolio. 13 of them, my last count, it might be 14 now, are founded by black females, right? I would put that up against any other venture fund, in the country to say that we're doing a good job of that. So I just think that this is a great place to find. And as an investor, what do I want? I want asymmetric information. I want to be looking at ideas that other people aren't looking at. Raise your hand if you think there's any smart people in Baltimore. Okay? So then why does 75% of venture capital dollars go to New York, Texas, California, Massachusetts? Aren't there smart people everywhere else? So we just love that we're here. We're investing in people that other venture funds are ignoring for all the wrong reasons. And this is a great place to do that.
Oh, it's a very great place to do that. And so, Kory, the Equitech concept was mentioned earlier. Can you break that down a little bit more and talk about its impact on the community?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it just goes back to the idea that innovation can be unlocked, economic potential and opportunity can be leveraged by leaning into the things that Jeff was just talking about. Mm-hmm. Diverse leadership, equitable standards and practices, and what we say is building a culture of belonging in tech. Often, when you think about opportunities to grow or opportunities to advance, he just mentioned 75% of venture capital goes to those markets. Mm-hmm. Well, a much larger percentage of that does not go to underrepresented founders or what we like to call underestimated founders. And that's not just people of color, women, that's people in the Midwest, people in rural areas. So to Jeff's point, those ideas, we need to create an environment where they can get to market. That is our growth strategy. That is our win theme. And the way that we do that is by going and looking where other people aren't and creating systems for those people to get to market. And we believe that those things will yield the type of city that we want to live, work, and play in. And so we say that we want to be an Equitech city. We don't want to be the only one. Mm-hmm. We want that concept and that idea and those practices to spread. It's been great to go to conferences, national events where people are like, there's something happening in Baltimore, and we better pay attention to it because we want to be a part of that. And so we're proud to sort of be leading in that way of growing a tech city in a way that hasn't traditionally been done before, but setting a model and a pathway forward for economic opportunity and prosperity in America.
Perfect. And Jeff, can you share some examples of just any AI-driven businesses or social impact organizations that your accelerator has been supporting, just to give some tangible
Sure. So we
examples?
talked about 1104 Health, which is a company that helps, tries to match underrepresented patients with researchers to get them into clinical trials. They're using AI in their model. I think one of my favorite companies is a company called R3 Score, which is a company that uses machine learning and AI to help employers and bankers and lenders understand the risk, if you will, of doing business with returning citizens. We think that risk is much lower, but there's no way to think about it. So they're building a model to help them think about it. Hungry Harvest is not, it's a social impact business. It's not an AI-driven business, but they are really doing amazing things with, hospitals. They're working at they're working at Hopkins with food as medicine. They're really fantastic. We've got a company called Climb that uses AI to help children in schools with social and emotional health. There's probably 10 others I could name, but we've got a bunch of businesses, and those are all Baltimore-based businesses that are doing great work.
Well, that's wonderful. And very inspired by the work that you all are doing. And I know Accenture is very passionate about this space as well. As I was saying, I lead the Global Black Founders Development Program, and we're hyper-focused on leveling the playing field for Black entrepreneurs, specifically in the enterprise tech space, because we see less funding to Black founders going in those arenas. But boiling it down to cash, contracts, and community. I'm all about my 3 C's and the acronyms. How can we ensure that folks are getting strategic investments and getting on the cap table? How can we ensure they're getting contractual opportunities for sustained growth with our Fortune 500 clientele, and then community? Just being in spaces like this, not just talking about the triumphs, but also the challenges that our folks are facing in this arena, because we know that when everyone gets their proportional slice of the VC pie, hopefully new and better products and services are being created. But enough about Accenture in this space. Kory, back to you. I really want to talk about how you see Baltimore catalyzing some more federal funding and maybe a little bit more information around the health operability platform that's out there.
Yeah, I'll just say the Tech Hub designation gives us an opportunity to apply for federal funding. I think the muscles that we built in collaboration to get that phase 1 designation will yield some really positive results when we go after other grant opportunities, whether it's NSF, Built to Scale, and others. So we're starting to do that really well as an ecosystem. And you mentioned the data interoperability pilot, which was, I'll take this opportunity to elevate that. It was a group of leaders that committed to this. Brian Pinnock at Care First, Mohan at MedStar Health, and the folks at Johns Hopkins Health System and Medicine all said that we can come together around prior authorization, start to build something that the federal government is going to require by 2026 anyway, and be a leader in that space. And that opportunity was actually elevated by one of our startup founders, Kristen Valdez of Be Well Connected Health, who, if you have a Samsung Galaxy, her technology will live natively on your phone in the near, if not now, in the near future. That innovation is happening in Baltimore. That leadership is happening in Baltimore, and it's aligned from our startup founders all the way to our institutional and government leaders. The Department of Commerce is aligned. The Department of Health is aligned. So we're really seeing opportunities like that come, and people really, really collaborating effectively around them.
Community and collaboration is key. So Jeff, I want you to talk a little bit about the Pay It Forward initiative and how that works.
Yeah, so it's a perfect lead-in because of the Pay It Forward. So our accelerator program, when COVID hit, we used to be like a regular accelerator. We took 10 or 15 companies in. We invested in all of them in the beginning, and that's how we rolled. And then COVID hit, and we said, we got to go virtual, and we're going to change this model. So we started, we built an online learning management system, which allowed us to support a lot more companies, but of course we could invest in all of them. So we changed our model, and now in the accelerator accelerator program. Companies come in, they go through the program. It costs us about $20,000 to $25,000 per company to run the program. But everyone's on scholarship. Everyone gets in for free. And we run the program, and we raise money to make sure that they can do that. But what we started doing this idea of pay it forward because we're trying to create a community around these entrepreneurs. So everyone gets in for free, everyone's on scholarship, except if you get investment from our other arm, which is our venture capital fund, then you pay for your portion. So you put $20,000 into what we call the scholarship program, which allows everyone else to continue to go for free. So it's an interesting model, but it's really all about how do we generate more community.
Perfect. And I know we are almost at time, and this has been a rapid fire conversation, but just any final words that you have for the audience to really continue to inspire and spur the investment in Baltimore.
I'll just reiterate what a lot of people have said and will say tonight. There is a energy that is happening in Baltimore. We have tremendous momentum, great leadership, and I mean deep leadership from the institutional level all the way into the community. And something that Brian said that is true, we value relationships here. We do this together in boardrooms, but we also sit in each other's living rooms across from each other at tables and talk about the future of Baltimore and the opportunities to invest. So be a part of it. Come be a part of that. Join us. We would love to engage and communicate or collaborate with you as well.
You know, I'm a New Yorker, and y'all New Yorkers in the audience, you know how we are. We don't really like other cities, right? But I've chosen to be in Baltimore because this place is emerging. We're really on the verge of a renaissance here in Baltimore. Great things are going to happen here. I've chosen to be here because of that reason, and I think you should, if you're not taking a look, you're going to miss out because this city is going to really show some people some amazing things in the next 5 to 10 years.
Wonderful. Thank you. Let's give a round of applause for Kory and Jeff.